This is a Raspberry Pi 5. It costs less than your night out and it is mostly of a size of a credit card. This is a full computer with a CPU, a GPU, a RAM, an HDMI cable, a few USB ports, a full-blown Ethernet port and a few GPIO pins using which you can actually control some real-world objects. So now this could be used as a personal computer. You can attach a mouse, a keyboard, a monitor and use this as a personal computer, or maybe just use this as a Linux server to self-host a few web apps. I can also plug in some AI cameras, maybe an AI accelerator chip to host a few LLM models locally. So as a developer, you can actually build anything you can think of. So in today's video, we are going to set this up. We'll try to run a web app out of it and then maybe expose it to the public internet so that I can access it from anywhere. With that said, with this context set, let's jump into the video and let's get started. So in order to get started, we would first need an SD card. This Raspberry Pi doesn't really has an operating system of its own. So we use this SD card and we flash an operating system onto it and then plug it into the Raspberry Pi. And this is the way it gets its own operating system. Now, how do we do it? So I'm going to put this in this SD card adapter and then I'm going to plug this into my computer. Alright, so here I am on my machine and I've just plugged in my SD card into my Mac and I could see this boot file stream being listed under my Finder's locations. Now, in order to flash my SD card with a Raspberry operating system, I would need something called as a Raspberry Pi imager. Okay, so let me open this. And this is how a Raspberry Pi imager looks like. Now you can download it from the Raspberry Pi website. I'll put the link in the description. But over here, this will help me to set up my Raspberry Pi's SD card or the operating system on my Pi. Now I'm going to choose the model I've got. I've got Pi 5. I'm going to choose this, hit next, then choose my operating system. Now because we are just going to host a web app on it, I'm not going to use a full-blown Raspberry Pi operating system. There is a lighter version of it. So we see that we have got this Raspberry Pi OS Lite. I'm going to use this and hit next. Then I'm going to choose the media. So it has got 16 gigs of storage, but over here it is showing 14.8 for some reason. I'm going to choose this and then I'm going to hit next. Let this host name be Raspberry Pi. Do not change it. Or if you want, you could, but just be careful when you try to connect to this Pi using your own host name. So Raspberry Pi is the host name that comes out of the box. I'm going to keep this as such. I'm going to hit next. Just select your capital city, time zone and keyboard. Hit next. Enter a username. Enter a password. Hit next. And now choose your Wi-Fi. So my Wi-Fi's SSID or the network name has been correctly populated. I just need to enter my password, and once that is done, just hit next and enable this. If it is not enabled on your Pi, select this, use password authentication. I'm going to say next. Let's not enable Raspberry Pi Connect for now. Hit next and then just say right. I understand. And with this, the new Raspberry Pi Lite OS will be flashed on your SD card. Alright, so once that is done, just hit finish and we are good to go. So now you see, after it has flashed the SD card, it has also unmounted my SD card from the Mac. So I'm just going to plug it out, and this SD card over here, I'm going to take this out, and now I'm going to put this on my Raspberry Pi over here. Okay, so now once that is done, I'm going to plug it in, give it a power supply, and I think it has come to life. Alright, so now once you have plugged it in, just open your terminal and we need to connect to this Raspberry Pi now. Now how do we do that? On the terminal we write SSH, your username and then the host name. So that was Raspberry Pi.local. And once you have done that, you would get something of this kind. Just say yes to it. This will happen just once. And you are now being asked for the password. So just type in the password and you are now inside your Raspberry Pi. Now because this is a fresh Pi, I will have to update and upgrade. So what I'm going to do is sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade. I'm going to hit enter and it will now start updating the packages for this operating system on my Raspberry Pi. So there was some spelling mistake over here. So yes, upgrade spelling was wrong. I'm going to do a sudo apt-y and upgrade. Okay, again something wrong. So yeah, so now it should also upgrade my operating system. And yes, we are done with the operating system update on my Pi. Now, I don't think I should have Node on my machine yet. Yes, so Node is not there. I need to install Node on it. So I'm going to say sudo apt install. So this shall install Node.js on my machine, and I should be able to create a very simple Node.js application once this is finished. Alright, so the Node is finally installed on my Raspberry Pi operating system, and now I can create a very simple basic app. Let's call it. So let's do that. npx. So this should create a simple Node.js app, a Next.js app. So it is downloading the packages now. Alright, so that is done. Let's cd into this. And yes, so we are inside the application folder now. Now I should be able to run it actually. So let me try that. So that should start a dev server on the Raspberry Pi. And yes, it is up and it is hosted on localhost 3000 on the Raspberry Pi. So let me bring up a browser and let's go to that Raspberry Pi local 3000. And yes, so if you see, my web app is now running on the Pi and I can access it over SSH. Okay, and I can also start it from my local browser over here. All right, but coding inside the terminal won't always be feasible. So we have got another option. Let's open VSCode. And over here, there is this extension called remote SSH. You can install this, and once you have done this, just hit Command Shift P and remote SSH. Raspberry Pi local, your host will be listed here. Enter it, and then now enter the password. And now you should be able to connect to your host, your Raspberry Pi host from VS Code, and it should give me those files also. So it is downloading the VS Code server. We can see it over here. All right, so now let's hit open folder and let's call it home, and it should list my app over here, my app. Let's hit enter. Okay. And yes, so my files are now listed over here. So in order to get started, I will have to go to this page.tsx file as this browser, as this website is showing over here. And this is my page.tsx. Now, I should be able to get rid of everything and the changes should reflect over there. So let me remove everything inside the main. And let's just say, please subscribe. Let me save this, and if I go back to my browser over here, so yes, I could see the changes coming up over here. If I refresh it, I should still see the new changes that I did should persist over here. All right, cool. So we can build something. We can build something and then host it on the Pi. This proof of concept is now validated. So let's get back to our website over here. Let me open Copilot and let me ask it to add a new page and maybe a new React component which can display system information, like all the Raspberry Pi information should be displayed on this web app over here. So let us give a prompt to this. Let me make it a little big. Create a new page, create a new file called system.ts and list all the system details into it, like computer name, host name, temperature, or maybe host name and what else, architecture, OS details, temperature, memory usages, RAM details, what cores are used and how much, and maybe some network strength, and other details as you might seem fit. Then just add this component to my page.tsx. Let's see what it comes up with. So it is asking me to install this system package, this npm package called system information. I'm going to allow that, and it has started writing a new file called system.tsx. It is using the system information package. I'm going to say keep to all of it. And then it has added this component over here. I'm going to say keep over here, and it is asking me to run this, but it should already be running. And yes, I could get all this information now over here. Basic info, host name is this, operating system is Debian, Linux 13, platform Linux, architecture is this much, manufacturer, model, now total RAM is this, use is this, free, CPU, cores 4, speed is this much, temperature is 60 degrees Celsius. Nice. And then I also get my IPv4 address. Okay. All right. So this is pretty much cool. I think if I can create a very good web app, I can actually host it on Raspberry Pi. But can we also use it over the public internet? Like, as far as I'm on my Mac and I have SSH into my Raspberry Pi, I can access this pretty good. But what if I want to, if I've created an app and I want to access it over the app while it is being hosted on my Raspberry Pi? Can I do that? Yes, we can. Let's look into that. Okay, so I'm going to come to this one.dash.cloudflare.com under network connectors. I'm going to add a tunnel. Now, how this works is my Raspberry Pi is hosting a website. I'm going to use this Cloudflare tunnel to route internet traffic to this website. So every time someone requests for my website, it goes to the Cloudflare, and then Cloudflare is going to use a tunnel to provide my website to the general public. Now I'm going to choose Cloudflare over here, and let's call it pi_tunnel. So this is my Pi tunnel. To save the tunnel, and then this is a Debian, so I'm going to use this 64-bit, and then it says install and run a connector. To connect your tunnel to Cloudflare, copy paste one of the following commands into a terminal window. Remotely managed tunnels require that you install this or later. Show your token code machine. So now what do we get is a couple of instructions on how to install Cloudflare connector on your Raspberry Pi. So I already have installed it, but if you do not have it, you will have to run these instructions one by one, all of these instructions one by one. And once you have done that, we are going to copy this. Now this will install the Cloudflare service onto your Raspberry Pi. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to come back to my terminal, and I'm going to paste that command over here. That shall install the Cloudflare service on my machine. Okay, so now it says the Linux service for Cloudflare is installed successfully. Come back to this website over here, hit next, and over here you will have to enter a subdomain, a domain. So let the subdomain be Raspi, and I already have a domain, so I'm going to choose this. The path is optional, you can let it go. Over here, let it be HTTP, and the URL. So URL, my website is running on localhost 3000, and let's just hit complete setup. And now what I've done is I've installed Cloudflare as a service on my Raspberry Pi. So every time, and that tunnel is routing all the traffic to localhost 3000. All right, so everything is set up. And now from anywhere in the world, I should be able to go to raspi.harshitdynamite.com. Okay, so the spelling is wrong. It should be raspi.harshitdynamite.com. And I should be able to load my website over here. So to me, it is really amazing that we can actually host something of our own directly from our home, from really such a small piece of computer that is so cheap. And I'm definitely going to use some of its other features pretty soon. And if you want to stay along with me in this journey, I would urge you to please like this video, subscribe to my channel. It will be a pleasure to have you along in this journey. And I'll see you in the next project. Goodbye.